form, but a little rough on the landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
Hell are you?
We're the good guys.
You're the dead guys.
Schwanz, wieder.
Ow! Jesus!
Yeah, there's a dog on your balls.
Hello everybody, this is ARUD 007 along with
TYCLOPS.
and welcome to Settle for the Bronze. What are we discussing this week, TYCLOPS?
We are discussing Punch Butt 2.
Alright, I guess we should go ahead and clarify. TYCLOPS has no cursing rule. If you've listened to any of the other videos, you should have been able to pick up on that. But I have no such rule.
Yes.
We are talking about Kick-Ass 2 this week. Alright, I guess we're deciding if this movie sucks or not. And I'll go ahead and say TYCLOPS is a hater.
A little bit. A little bit.
We're going to change up a little bit of the format. Now, usually we have our big discussion, and then at the end we give our rating and our recommendation. We're going to go ahead and do the rating and the recommendation first, so that if people who haven't seen the movie, they're just interested in our thoughts, they can hear that part, go watch the movie if they want to, and then come back and listen to the discussion aspect. So, alright, TYCLOPS, what's your rating and
do we want to start with the rating or read off what the general public thinks?
Of course! How could I forget?
It's my job as the scorekeeper to make sure that we stick to that.
Says the man who didn't have this until like a minute before we started recording.
Do we ever? It's not that big of a deal. Come on now. Now who's the hater? So, alright, so this movie has a 29% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 58% audience rating, so obviously very mixed, and a 6.7 on IMDb. I think generally this is probably around a D for me. I don't entirely know what grade that would that would correspond to. Probably somewhere like a 6 out of 10, something like that, something along those lines. It has a lot of issues.
You're going percentage-wise. When people think of a D, they think, you think that's the worst thing ever. I
mean, it's a little of both.
Well, people look at it like they think, they're not thinking percentage like a school grade.
Yeah.
I think film grading is different than like
That's true.
School academic grade.
But I think a D is about where I'm sitting.
Yeah. So, just to clarify, you're looking at it from like, if these were like academic grades.
Yes.
Not what a person puts on like a movie review on.
Technically, the movie passes, but not by much.
Okay. Would you recommend it?
I would only recommend it if you specifically have a very strong obsession with superhero movies of any type. Like if that's because
are you trying to accuse me of something?
No.
Are you accusing me of being obsessed with superhero movies?
This is not personal. Hey now,
this is feeling
you're
personal.
trying to make it personal.
It's feeling personal.
Well, no, just because like there is some very good stuff in here that explores some very interesting concepts about superheroes and superheroes in the real world. It feels like a continuation of the first movie. The stuff that I really like in this movie is a continuation of the first movie. It's directly moving on from that storyline. But there is also a lot of stuff that I do not like. So
very mixed bag for you.
Yes, very very mixed bag.
Which is why it's on this show. Okay, I was having such a hard time figuring out a recommendation for this because I recognize. I'll go ahead and say I really like this movie a whole lot. But as we watched it this last time, you explained a lot of your thoughts very well, and I just kept bringing me down. And if anybody watched my top 10 list for my favorite movies of 2013, somehow this ended up on the top of that list. And I believe I say I have no idea how it ended up here. It just has a lot of watchability for me. Like I can just turn it on and watch it.
That's fair. It's not hard to watch. It's short too, like you said.
Yes, it's under 2 hours, so it has the common decency not to waste your time.
Yeah.
But coming with a recommendation, just based on all the points you brought up, I can't recommend it to someone who's like a diehard fan of the first one because it's a mixed bag when it comes to this one. So I think it's just, if you're looking for a fun time, just
that's fair.
Casually want to watch a movie that involves superheroes. There you go.
What would your grade rating be?
See, it's
C. We're going with that. No.
Objectively, I'd give it like a C, but subjectively, I'd give it like a B. And those are lower. I think each time I watch this, especially with you, it gets a little bit lower because I notice more stuff that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I don't hate it. But
I don't hate it.
But I have a hard time determining what audience it's for.
Yeah.
Other than me.
Somehow.
Okay.
It was made specifically for you.
Yes.
All right.
So if you're still interested and you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and watch that because we're going to be getting into spoilers and full-on discussion. Okay, TYCLOPS, where do you want to start here?
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get out the stuff that I really, really like. I love Jim Carrey in this. Jim Carrey
who doesn't?
Is amazing in this. It's so great. And every scene he shows up in... Okay, every scene he shows up in except for the scene of his death. I love immensely. I think he's perfect, and I think it's because... Or that's what I'm talking about by its continuation of the first movie.
Yeah.
Where it's still following Dave and moving through his... Like, the progression of his superhero shenanigans. You know...
I like that one.
forming this team, and
Yeah.
it's great. I love it. That's what I wanted to see more of.
Okay. Does he work as a suitable replacement for Nicolas Cage from the first one? Because a lot of people,
Absolutely.
I've
'Cause
heard a
it's-
lot of people say that this movie's missing Nicolas Cage, and it completely falls apart because it doesn't have Nicolas Cage.
I think it doesn't it has because it has Jim Carrey's character, Colonel Stars and Stripes. It works very well because it's not Nicolas Cage, but it's a similar
Yeah.
feel. He has a similar idea.
Almost takes on the same role.
Same role, different execution,
Yeah.
and feels unique. I wasn't comparing them at all when I was watching it. I do agree though. Once he dies, I think the movie just starts to really go downhill. Like there's issues I have before that point, but after his death, I feel like the movie loses a lot of. I don't know. It feels like it starts to stumble and
A lot of the logic starts to fall
yeah,
apart.
yeah. And I also just am not a fan of his death scene in general. We can get into that in a little bit. That's tonal issues. But yeah, so probably my favorite thing in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and again, also all of the scenes with Dave, like with all of his storyline up to the point where Chris D'Amico intersects with his storyline.
Yeah. Kick-Ass's arc in the movie is generally good.
Yes.
Except for the stuff when the motherfucker, Chris D'Amico, when his plot starts to get in.
Yeah.
But overall,
Which is also when he intersects with Colonel Stars and Stripes.
Yes, but if you're not looking at that plot line, Dave's plot line is very strong.
Yes. And I do like a decent amount of the hit girl stuff.
Yeah. With her in high school.
In high school and her struggles.
Like
with
you said, it's Mean Girls Light.
It is Mean Girls Light, and that's at the same time it's fun because it's a nice little parody of it.
Yeah.
It's a nice little parody of like high school girls, and that's nice. But it's also at the same time it feels like they're literally just ripping this straight from Mean Girls and just trying to slapping on something so that she can go through the normal high school routine.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's getting her out of the way. I know you say you think she develops through this. I don't know if I necessarily feel that. I feel like she's once she goes through the high school plot line and she gets abandoned by
Date ditch.
Date ditched, yeah. Once she goes through that, it feels like she kind of ends up back where she was.
Yeah.
And it was just an excuse to get her out of the way so that Dave's storyline can do other stuff.
Well, I almost feel like... I guess we're just getting into the plot now.
Yes.
I feel like that's... Like, before, like in the first movie, everyone's telling her who she is. Like,
Yeah.
even Nicolas
that's
Cage
true,
is
that's
like,
true.
you're a hit girl. You're a hit girl.
Yeah.
Mindy's not important. You're a hit girl. And then Marcus, the guy who took her in, is like, you're Mindy. And all the girls at school, you're Mindy. I feel like she's finally figuring out who she is. It's not anyone telling her.
That's fair, but it's also the way in which it's done is not very
I'm not saying the execution's great.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
but it's not very character exploring. It does kind of feel like that's the result, but
Yeah.
because of the fact that it's kind of just like we're just going to do a parody of
Mean Girls,
and other high school type drama type movies, and
Yeah.
just kind of go through that for a while. It feels like a cheapens it. We were talking about this the date ditch scene. Feels it's like what's the point? She has to walk home. Oh my, it's terrible. I mean, she's embarrassed, but it's I don't know.
They tell her off and then they just leave.
Yeah, like they don't do anything to her. I guess walking home is a bad thing, but
even though she's probably done that tons of times.
Yeah.
Because she runs
Yeah.
across rooftops.
so it is embarrassing. Obviously, like it's supposed to be embarrassing and it's supposed to be a betrayal, but
I don't think it's enough for you to get like the catharsis that
Yes,
you're supposed to
yes.
get when she takes revenge on them, which by the way is a completely disgusting scene.
Yes, I agree. That is
with the six stick.
Mhm.
That's what they call it, right? That's totally unnecessary.
The
like I
word-
know they're having raunchy humor, and by the way, this gets away with a lot more than the first one did.
Yeah.
But that was too far for me. That was way
the
too
scene
far.
where she makes the
makes them
popular
have-
girls,
she makes them
vomit
vomit and have
and-
diarrhea
yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time.
and it's so childish and it's so just out of left field where it's like I have this thing that does this, yay! When they could have used, we mentioned this. I would really like for her to have done something where she like blackmails them and
Yeah.
something very like. I mean, obviously she couldn't just beat him up because that's not a good thing.
Like
but,
I have evidence of you guys
Yeah.
being heavy drug users or having a whole lot of sex
yeah,
or something.
something that makes it feel clever and that makes it feel like she's really trying to get revenge and not just like, oh, we need to show that she got back at the popular girls. So here's the thing, and then that thing, random aside, shows up in the final battle out of nowhere.
Like,
I don't.
somehow Kick-Ass's friend Marty ends up with it.
Yes.
And then the other guy, Todd, we'll get to Todd.
Oh, we'll get to Todd.
He ends up with it, and he saves Marty using the six stick.
Yeah.
And it's like, is there like a deleted scene where Hit Girl gives Marty
Yeah,
the six
yeah.
stick? It's like, this might be useful later.
Yeah, and
No, like,
it doesn't.
the editing's weird,
Yeah,
especially in
yeah.
the second half of the movie.
Mhm.
Because I feel like it could have been like she's getting thrown around by Mother Russia in that big fight
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end, and the six stick falls out of her belt or something, and then it ends up on the floor where that happens. It's like, why couldn't
Which
you
is a
just do
nitpick
that?
a little bit. I mean, it's not a nitpick, but it's an editing issue. It's like,
just bizarre,
but
though.
yeah, like it's baffling. What?
No, it's not. See, I wouldn't necessarily call it a nitpick because it's so blatant. It's just
Yeah.
like, how did that get there?
Weird.
I mean, it
Weird
doesn't
stuff.
really affect the
Anyway.
plot, but
yeah,
it's
no.
just,
Anyway,
What is that
we're getting
doing?
off tangent.
Okay, yeah.
The
we're getting off tangent.
yes. The all right. So then I guess
we are getting off tangent.
I've stated the next or the major stuff I like about this. I love all the stuff with Justice Forever in the early half. I don't like the final battle all that much, which we'll get to. But the first half or so.
Have you really said like the first half for you is solid, and then the
Yeah,
rest of
yeah.
it's kind
That's
of-
and the reason for that is because the first half, or the reason for that I feel like is the first half has Chris D'Amico. His character is separate, and I'm about to say I do not like his character. I don't. There is not much about his character that works for me, and that's a major issue in the movie, and that takes down a lot of the movie because he's supposed to be very important in the second half.
which leads to
and-
the main problem of the movie, which is tone.
Yes.
That's a common theme for a lot of these movies that we talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
Tone.
Which is, and it makes sense. I mean, in this case, the reason I have a problem with him is because they can't seem to decide if they want to make him. He never does anything on his or like himself. He never does anything that's terrible himself, aside from killing his mom, and then he kills his mom by kicking the tanning booth that she's in.
Yeah.
And he obviously has this moment of like, oh God, what have I done? And they never address it again.
Yeah.
His mom dies so that he can get her weird leather stuff.
Her kinky.
Yeah, which somehow fits him.
Wardrobe. Yeah.
And
That's creepy in and of itself.
yes, yes, but he never does anything by himself. He always gets somebody else to do it, and so we end up with this guy who's goofy but dark, who causes these terrible things
Quote
to happen.
unquote dark. I'm gonna put quotes on that.
Who causes these things to happen that are very dark and have big consequences in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's not like I don't even understand what we're supposed to think of him. Like there are moments where it's like, oh God, he's about to go crazy. Like there's a moment where he's about to rape Day Witch.
Night bitch.
Yeah.
Translation.
He's about to rape her, and then it's like, oh, you can't get an erection.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me go ahead and say, that is one of the places where it deviates from the books. I have read Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2, the books.
Mhm.
You have not.
Mhm.
And first off, the reason why the Hit Girl stuff is kind of disconnected is because there's a separate Hit Girl book,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
that plot line. But anyway, there is stuff that they wanted to change from the book,
Mhm.
just because the book is dark and it pretty much has no humor.
Okay.
It's Kick-Ass without the humor, which I don't find that appealing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's interesting. But it's Katie, the Kick-Ass's original girlfriend, who gets raped by the
Which is
mother.
another flaw we'll get to in a second.
Yeah,
Um.
and she gets raped. So do we want a rape scene in this? Especially since we're treating it as more of a comedy?
See, that's the problem. It's that it feels like it wouldn't be necessarily out of place for that to happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it would. With his character, where his character has these moments of being dark and being...
It's almost
It's because they seem to have a difference, or to have these two ways they play Chris's character, where it's either dark humor, like or dark ignorant humor, like where he's naming his team that he's putting together, and they're all
racist stereotypes.
They're all racist. I love that. And you can make that happen. That's just an ignorant. He's just being an ignorant jerk. Like it perfectly is in line with him being terrible and killing people.
And then he has the excuse that they're not stereotypes, they're archetypes.
Yeah, and it's a funny little scene, and it makes him look dumb, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not dangerous.
Yeah.
But they make him look goofy in other scenes, and so you never really get a feel for what he's supposed to be. It never feels like he's actually a bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then I was supposing
he
this
is,
too.
but-
I'm like, they give his character several chances throughout the movie to turn dark.
turn very dark.
Like when they kill Javier, his assistant or whatever, when they kill him, he can suddenly go, I can't be a kid anymore. I can't be goofy.
Yeah.
Now I'm serious.
Yeah.
Which they kind of try.
I mean, the next thing he does is
kill Colonel Starstruck, which I want to go ahead and say. That is another thing that's changed from the book. They have the part where she's like, do you want me to kill the dog? And he's like, I'm not that evil. Just kill him. Decapitate him. In the book, they decapitate the dog and put the dog's head on him.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones style. But that's just another thing that is like, oh, the book's too dark. Let's change it.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but...
But see, it's like, I mean, obviously those would be bad. Like those would be scenes that would be like, ooh.
That's a bit much.
But they're the only scenes he gets a chance to actually like make a decision, because he's using other people to do all this stuff for him.
Yeah.
They're the only scenes he gets a chance to actually make a decision.
But they kind of
for
neuter
himself.
him.
And they just kind of are like, no, he can't really do it. He can do all this terrible stuff through other people and have no qualms about it.
Yeah.
But, we don't want to have him do too much dark stuff, because that would be bad to put in this movie.
Because he's McLovin. He's a goofy wacko.
Yeah.
And then there's some parts where it's like, is he supposed to be crazy?
Yeah, at the end.
Because at the end, when he's hanging on and Kick-Ass is trying to save him, he's like, I'll be a martyr. I'll be like an evil Jesus. And then he falls in. And then he falls into the shark tank. And he's like, oh, Dave, I'm so sorry. And it's like, what was the thought process that he was having just then?
And the shark is alive also, which annoyed me.
Which is a dumb thing.
It doesn't even make sense, but whatever. We're moving on.
It's supposed to be like a running gag.
Yeah.
The shark's not moving and they think it's dead, but suddenly, because he falls in, it
But
wakes up.
then they say, Dave's character is like, this isn't a movie, or this isn't a comic book. You're not going to come back. There's no sequel. But then apparently the after credit scene is him being alive
with his legs. I think his privates are also.
Yeah, they mentioned that. It's, I don't know. And one last major flaw. His girlfriend, Lindsay Vanessa's character, Katie.
Yeah.
She.
Who was an important part of the first.
Yes,
movie.
yes. She literally shows up in one scene. Or is it? I think it might be two scenes, but whatever.
She shows up in a montage and then she breaks up with him.
Yes, and then she shows up in another scene where he's talking with Hit Girl, and then
there's miscommunication because they think Hit Girl's breaking up with him because they thought they were dating.
And then it's just like, oh, we're done. Like, why would you do that? And he's like, no, that's not what it is. It's about my superhero thing. And she's like, well, I cheated on you.
Yeah,
basically. And he's like, what? And then she just runs away, and they throw her out of the movie. And I don't understand what the thought process behind that is.
The thought process for me is she's not at the end of the Kick-Ass comic, the first one. They don't get together. Like he spills everything out to her, and she leaves. So she's not even present for the second one until she gets raped, and then he's like, "Oh my god, I caused this, and I kind of stalked her for a while." Yeah,
and it's. But at that point, I mean, if you're gonna be different,
it's just a way to get her out of there because they didn't know what to do with her.
Exactly, and they could have done stuff with her.
Yes.
Well,
case in point, when we watched the movie and he gets together with Night Bitch, we were like, "What if Katie was Night Bitch?
Was another superhero and secretly like without Dave knowing.
And had a really good disguise, and they couldn't tell it was
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
As opposed to when he sees Todd. No, not Todd. Marty. I get him all confused. He sees Marty, he's like, why are you a superhero?
yeah.
Because I'm kick-ass.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that we were talking about at the end, when they're having the big battle that really doesn't go anywhere, they could have had Chris kill Night Bitch, who in our world would be Katie, and then Kick-Ass could be like, you taken my dad, you just took my girlfriend. I'm going to end you. That way you get a lot more catharsis when you get to the end.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's it's all the. I feel like a lot of the issues center around wanting to do stuff to make certain things happen that throws other things off, and B, because of Chris, because like all of his stuff, it feels like, I mean, he gets Dave's dad killed, and that's an emotional scene. It's dark. It is the funeral and happens and they capture him, and Hit Girl has to save him, and that's what makes her go back to being a superhero and all that stuff. But like, he didn't do that, so you don't really feel like, you still feel like this kid's just kind of like messing around, not really understanding what he's accomplishing.
He needs to actively be doing stuff.
Yeah, and again, another qualm I have is with his whole supervillain team. He creates.
Other than Mother Russia, none of them matter.
Yeah, they're how many are there? Are there 4?
There's like 4 or 5.
I think
they're interchangeable.
They all die randomly, like they just get killed.
Two of them get killed in that car chase you talked about.
Yes, and then one of them dies in the big battle when Hit Girl stabs him in the eye.
Dies in like 5 seconds.
Literally, all of them die within 5 seconds of showing up on screen.
And the problem is they set all them up earlier. They're like, oh, these are these badasses. They do all this stuff.
They literally stand back watching Mother Russia do stuff, or they get killed.
Yeah.
The moment they try and do anything, they get killed.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay.
Why are they even in here?
Yeah, or actually, I think the one dude does he? I forget what Hit Girl does with him when they capture him. I don't think he gets killed. I guess he gets.
Oh, they torture him.
Yeah. Anyway.
The tumor.
Besides the point, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It would be fine to have them be interchangeable, but don't set up their characters when they have that montage of them rounding people up.
Yeah. Like, why not just be like? I mean, the whole point of that basically is just to make fun of the fact that he's naming them racistly.
Yeah.
And so,
well, here's the thing. You could have taken out that montage, and they have the gag when they're watching Mother Russia kill all the cops in the neighborhood, and they're like, "Why does she get like triple our pay?" And the guy's like, "Oh my God, she gets paid that much? She's worth it."
Yeah.
And that's all you needed.
Yeah. Pretty much. And what I was gonna say was the final battle with her I do like, with her and Hit Girl, where Hit Girl ends up killing her with a bunch of glass. Yeah. I like that, and it's another thing I'll say that this movie has going for it. I like the battles for the most part.
Oh, the fight scenes.
Fight scenes are very well choreographed.
They're very entertaining.
Yes, they're entertaining,
especially when they have catchy music.
However, the final battle, I feel like it drags on a little too long, and because.
Oh really? I think it's a little quick.
I mean, it's a little of both almost, because it's like, it's not that they haven't well, first of all, his superhero team, Justice Forever, they show up even though they just said they weren't going to do anything. Like, even though they just said they were out because they just got out on parole or whatever.
Yeah.
And suddenly, and that was after Dave's dad got captured. And I guess because Dave got kidnapped and was fine afterwards, now they're inspired to fight.
I guess maybe because they were shot at. The point is they don't address it.
Yes.
They go from point A to point B, and we don't see the middle of
And then they show up in this final battle. And the final battle, because they've already killed off or captured like 2 or 3 of the dudes that like, why weren't they fighting or Chris's superhero team fighting, or supervillain team fighting Justice Forever?
Yeah.
Why weren't they matched up? Why was it? Oh, here's all these randoms who are, in the background.
Who we got on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah. Who are in the background beating stuff up, and then have like all his supervillains already dead except Mother Russia, who then has this long fight scene that goes on. Well, the rest of the fight basically does not matter at all. And so it's, except for Dave and Chris. Yeah. And so it's like...
But then they go running off.
And they run off out of the fight, yeah.
So it's completely separate, too.
Yeah. So it's like... What was the point of... There's no catharsis for... I mean, it shows the Justice Forever team fighting, and that's cool, I guess. But, like, it's like, oh yeah, they're doing stuff. But they're fighting just random thugs who don't matter. And I also am not a fan of the warehouse it takes place in too. It takes place in a warehouse,
as opposed
a smaller
as opposed to the climax in the Kick-Ass 2 comic, which is actually Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with the budget that this movie has, it is a relatively low budget. There's no way they could have done that.
But they still could have. I mean, why not have it on the street or something like that? It would have been cool. Like, it's. I don't know.
It's probably just easier to shoot it in a warehouse.
It's not.
It's probably easier.
Yeah, but that's the main reason why it's not as satisfying for me. Is that final battle doesn't really do anything for me. It's like, oh, okay, I guess they're done now. That's cool. And
I'm trying to remember my feelings on that when I watched it in the theater. I think it was because I was so with Dave because his dad had been murdered.
Yeah.
I was like, you kick this guy's ass.
yeah, but he doesn't really.
Yeah.
It's not brutal when he's fighting him. It's he knocks him around a few times and then he falls through the window.
And he has the generic, oh, this was for this person. This was for and he's just whacking him.
Yeah, and it's not like he's going crazy on him. He just kind of hits him.
Yeah.
It has issues. It has issues.
Let me
also,
go ahead.
Also, Todd. Let me get my last issue out of the issue out of the way, and these will be all my major problems.
Get the ass kicker out of the way.
Yes. So Todd shows up at one point because they're like, oh yeah, it would be bad to not include this guy because we're both superheroes. Dave and Marty are both superheroes. So they get Todd in. And he's on board, and then he wants to copy Dave's costume and persona and stuff. So it's like, oh, okay. And so Todd,
they make fun of him, and he leaves, and he joins the villains.
Yeah.
What do they call themselves? The toxic megacunts.
Yes. And Todd goes up to Chris conveniently while he's talking about the fact that they captured
or they arrested Dave's dad.
Yeah.
Who is saying that he's.
They thought and he was like, no, that's not the same guy. Who is this? And then Todd's like, oh yeah, that's his dad. And then it's just kind of like, oh, okay. So Todd just got his.
That's how we get that information.
So Dave's dad gets killed.
Yeah, and it's all Todd's fault.
And it's all Todd's fault, and they never address it. Todd doesn't realize that he like anything about the how evil Chris is until like
Todd does not realize the motherfucker wants to kill Kick-Ass.
And I don't think
he has said this over and over again.
And I don't think he ever understands that he was the reason Dave's dad died.
There was no conversation between Dave and Todd about that.
And then on the roof after the main battle, all of Justice Forever shows up and Hit Girl shows up and Todd's there. And he's just like, yeah, because he saved Marty at some point during the fight with the thing we talked about earlier, the 6-stick or whatever. That's just annoying. And so it's like, what is he doing?
That's even worse because it's one convenience that doesn't make sense on top of another convenience
and it's like,
that doesn't make sense.
What is he? Why is he there? He got his dad killed.
Yeah,
he's the reason they went out to fight. Like what?
To be fair, Todd's an idiot, so he doesn't know what he's done.
But
and none of the heroes realize.
I know, but it's like, why not address that?
Yeah, I know.
What?
It's a plot thread that's just left.
Yeah.
Hanging.
And I do think that it's the Hit Girl running or driving off into the distance is cathartic, and that's.
I love the ending to the movie.
Nice. And I love the prototype like metal suit that he's got that
almost
Dave
like
has
an Iron Man type armor.
And it looks so cool, and I'm like, that makes me want to see more because that is the storyline I cared about the whole time. Yeah. Although apparently Chris is still alive, so if they ever, I'm pretty sure at this point it's not happening. A sequel's not happening.
It didn't make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it made money or if it just made back its budget.
Yeah.
But
see,
there have been a couple of conversations every once in a while with I think the guy who wrote the comic book. And he's like, yeah, we're still thinking about it.
Yeah. And so,
but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. I'd love to see that continuation because that's this story I wanted to see. Although apparently Chris is alive, so it's like he could ruin the movie again if they don't know how they obviously didn't know how to use him in this one. They brought him back. Why? So that they could screw him up again.
The main villain was the problem.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I mentioned something at some point. When he goes to see his uncle in the jail,
who is Jorah from Game of Thrones.
I really wanted to see his uncle end up getting released by some mistake of Chris's maybe or something like that, and his uncle being the big villain and it turning out that he's like a monster and he knows how to be a supervillain the right way and all that stuff. And so it's like
there's many different ways you could have done that better.
Yes. That's the main problem with this.
We've come up with two. During this whole discussion.
That's the main problem with this is that it's all. there is so much about this that could have been done better and created good stuff.
Yeah.
It's not even wasted potential so much, I would say, because there are a lot of actual flaws. It's not just like they're just doing stuff and it's getting by. Like, it feels like legitimate flaws to me.
Yeah.
But there's so much that they could have done with it that it's even more upsetting. And it makes me...
Sad?
Yes. There's...
All right.
I keep sighing.
We're about to reach half an hour here.
Okay.
And we're going to try and keep these videos a little bit shorter, considering our Alien 3 discussion was about an hour. Let me go ahead and say a couple of the good things. The good things, because there are good things in this movie.
There are a few.
The score is just as good as the first one.
The
It's a
score.
continuation, same guy, Henry Jackman. Great score.
Uh-huh.
I love it. The soundtrack's generally good. It's pretty entertaining music throughout.
Yeah. Well placed music.
Like we said, the action scenes are great. The acting's great. Besides, the acting for Chris isn't bad. Like Christopher Mintz-Plasse doesn't do a bad job. It's just the material.
Yeah. I don't think there's nobody in this movie that I'm really like, oh, he's a terrible actor or she's a terrible actor. Why is she in here?
Yeah.
It all works. Acting's fine.
I guess final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm really not. I think there are moments that
You gotta be a hater.
there's enough good stuff in this that I think it would justify a sequel. Although I don't know if that could ever happen given how panned and
If the
economic
Amazing
wise.
Spider-Man 2 couldn't get a sequel, I don't think Kick-Ass 2 will get a sequel.
Yeah. So it's. I would like to see a sequel because I'd like to see more of the stuff I liked in this movie.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like this movie was literally 50-50. Like 50% of the time I was like, yeah, I'm enjoying this stuff. And 50% of the time it was like, why is this happening?
I recognize your problems. And yes, that has affected my score. I brought it down a little bit, but it's so entertaining. See, everything you see wrong as being super detrimental, I see everything being right as being super helpful to the movie.
Yeah, and that's fair because the things it does right are I like a lot.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. I don't know what to tell you, but
I don't know
that's
what
just
to
where
tell
stand
you
on it.
either.
I don't
know
have
what to
any
tell
nostalgia
anyone
for this
anymore.
movie or anything. It's just that's the way I've seen it.
Maybe it's because I saw it in the theater.
Maybe
I don't know.
I just don't know.
I really enjoy it. It's entertaining.
I can watch. I would be able to watch it a few more times
As
before
opposed
I
to
got really tired
Alien
of it.
3,
As opposed to Alien 3,
which just depresses
which I think
you
I
and
think I
wears you out.
generally think is a better movie, but it's harder for me to watch.
That's
So
weird.
I mean, it is longer and it's more depressing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
something.
it's something. It is a movie. I think.
It was made by people.
It was made by people, for the most part.
Now, what they need to do if they ever do a sequel is bring Matthew Vaughn back.
I agree.
That would be the main thing.
Yeah.
Especially after Kingsman was amazing.
Kingsman was amazing.
But
Why are we reviewing Kingsman? I want to watch Kingsman again.
Because that's not controversial or split down the middle.
I don't care. Let's watch it again.
Okay, let's go watch it.
Kingsman was good.
All right.
That is the review. The final thoughts are in the review. Kingsman was good.
Go watch Kingsman, not this. Even though I like this movie. Okay, TYCLOPS, I think we're done here. What is the movie we will be talking about next time?
Ooh.
I actually know what it is. I'm seeing how long it takes you to figure it out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm under pressure here.
Gotta look at that schedule.
Oh man. Oh man. It is Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
At World's End.
Indeed.
And
I almost said Dead Man's Chest.
in 2 weeks, we will be at World's End.
Oh. Okay.
Alright, everybody. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And I don't usually say this, but if you want to leave your thoughts about what you thought of the movie, comment section. There you go.
Discussions.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Alright, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Yeah,
It's my job as the scorekeeper to make sure that we stick to that.
says the
All right.
man who didn't have this until like a minute before we started
Well,
recording.
do we ever? It's not that big of a deal. Come on now. Now who's the hater? So, alright, so this movie has a 29% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 58% audience rating, so obviously very mixed, and a 6.7 on IMDb. I think generally, this is probably around a D for me. I don't entirely know what grading what
This
grade that
hurts
would
me so much.
that would correspond to. Probably somewhere like a 6 out of 10, something like that. Something along those lines. It has a lot of
See,
issues.
You're going percentage-wise. When people think of a D, they think,
That's
oh,
the
you
thing.
think that's the worst thing ever.
I mean, it's a little of both.
Well, people look at it like they think, they're not thinking percentage like a school grade.
Yeah, yeah.
I think film grading is different than like
That's true. That's
a
true.
school academic grade.
But I think a D is
Yeah.
about where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to clarify,
Yeah.
you're looking at it from like if these were like academic grades,
Yes.
not
Yes.
what a person puts on like a movie review on.
Technically, the
newspaper.
movie passes, but not by much.
Okay. Would you recommend it?
I would only recommend it.
Ooh, nice form, but a little rough on the landing. He may have to settle for the bronze.
Hell are you?
We're the good guys.
You're the dead guys.
Franz, wieder.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah, there's a dog on your balls.
Hello, everybody. This is ARUD 007 along with,
TYCLOPS.
and welcome to Settle for the Bronze. What are we discussing this week, TYCLOPS?
We are discussing Punch Butt 2.
All right, I guess we should go ahead and clarify. TYCLOPS has no cursing rule. If you've listened to any of the other videos, you should have been able to pick up on that. But I have no such rule.
Yes.
We are talking about Kick-Ass 2 this week. All right, I guess we're deciding if this movie sucks or not. And I'll go ahead and say TYCLOPS is a hater.
A little bit. A little bit.
We're going to change up a little bit of the format. Now, usually we have our big discussion, and then at the end we give our rating and our recommendation. We're going to go ahead and do the rating and the recommendation first, so that if people who haven't seen the movie, they're just interested in our thoughts, they can hear that part, go watch the movie if they want to, and then come back and listen to the discussion aspect. So, all right, TYCLOPS, what's your
All right,
rating
well,
and
Do we want to
recommendation?
start with the rating or read off what the general public thinks?
Of course! How could I forget?
Is amazing in this. It's so great. And every scene he shows up in... Okay, every scene he shows up in except for the scene of his death. I love immensely. I think he's perfect, and I think it's because... Or that's what I'm talking about by its continuation of the first movie.
Yeah.
Where it's still following Dave and moving through his... Like, the progression of his superhero shenanigans, you know,
like that one.
forming this team, and
Yeah.
it's great. I love it. That's what I wanted to see more of.
Okay. Does he work as a suitable replacement for Nicolas Cage from the first one? Because a lot of
Absolutely.
people, I've
'Cause
heard a
it's-
lot of people say that this movie's missing Nicolas Cage, and it completely falls apart because it doesn't have Nicolas Cage.
I think it doesn't it has, because it has Jim Carrey's character, Colonel Stars and Stripes. It works very well because it's not Nicolas Cage, but it's a similar
yeah,
feel. He has a similar idea.
almost takes on the same role.
Same role, different execution,
Yeah.
and feels unique. I wasn't comparing them at all when I was watching it. I do agree though. Once he dies, I think the movie just starts to really go downhill. Like there's issues I have before that point, but after his death, I feel like the movie loses a lot of. I don't know. If you specifically have a very strong obsession with superhero movies of any type, like if that's because there
Are you trying to accuse me of something?
no.
Are you accusing me of being obsessed with superhero
This is not personal.
movies?
Hey now,
this is feeling
you're trying to
personal.
make it personal.
It's feeling personal.
Oh no, just because like there is some very good stuff in here that explores some very interesting concepts about superheroes and you know, superheroes in the real world. It feels like a continuation of the first movie. The stuff that I really like in this movie is a continuation of the first movie. It's directly moving on from that storyline. But there is also a lot of stuff that I do not like. So
Very mixed bag for you.
yes, very very mixed bag.
Which is why it's on the show. Okay, I was having such a hard time figuring out a recommendation for this. Because I recognize, I'll go ahead and say, I really like this movie a whole lot. But as we watched it this last time, you explained a lot of your thoughts very well, and it just kept bringing me down. And if anybody watched my top 10 list for my favorite movies of 2013, somehow this ended up on the top of that list. And I believe I say I have no idea how it ended up here. It just has a lot of watchability for me. Like I can just turn
Yeah.
it on and watch
And that's
it.
fair. It's
very
not hard to
entertain-
watch.
It's
It's short
entertaining
too,
for me.
like you said.
Yes, it's under 2 hours, so it has the common decency
Yeah,
not
yeah.
to waste your time.
Yeah.
But coming with a recommendation, just based on all the points you brought up, I can't recommend it to someone who's like a diehard fan of the first one because it's a mixed bag when it comes to this one. So I think it's just if you're looking for a fun time, just
Yeah.
it's
That's
like
fair. That's
casually want to watch a movie that involves superheroes. There you go.
What would your grade rating be?
See, it's
C. We're going with that. No.
objectively I'd give it like a C,
Mhm.
but subjectively I'd give it like a B.
Mhm.
And those are lower. I think each time I watch this, especially with you, it gets a little bit lower because I notice more stuff that's wrong
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I don't hate it. But
I don't hate it.
But I have a hard time determining what audience it's for.
Yeah.
Other than me.
Somehow.
Okay.
It was made specifically for you.
Yes.
All right.
So if you're still interested and you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and watch that because we're going to be getting into spoilers and full-on discussion. Okay, TYCLOPS, where do you want to start here?
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out the stuff that I really, really like. I love Jim Carrey in this. Jim Carrey.
Who doesn't?